You're listening to the We Buy Houses radio show for street smart investing tips, trends and talk with your host Rick Otten, property investor and mentor. Property investing made simple.
Hi everybody, it's Rick Otten speaking. Welcome to the podcast Street Smarts, Tips, Trends and just about everything else about property, of course on our podcast. And thanks for listening, because actually people listen to this podcast. I mean, for a minute there I thought it was myself. Anyway, look, I'm speaking with Christos and we're over here, sitting here in Athens, Greece. G'day mate, how you going?
Hi, good evening Rick.
Okay, so I've come over here because I've heard all about the Greece disaster and the opportunities in buying property in Greece. So what do you think they are? I mean, big picture, everybody's heard about, Greece has dragged the EU down and Greece is bad because Greece has done this and Greece has done this. Now, I've been here long enough to see a totally different position. And in fact, I see an absolute fantastic opportunity in property. What do you think the opportunity is in property right now?
Right, Rick, it's different me saying anything. You've been here for a full week and you see that the city is completely different to what people might think or what the media are conveying out to internationally.
Right.
So the opportunity in property is precisely in the fact that things are at the rock bottom at the moment. Property is at the rock bottom. People are unable to buy, no bank loans. Property taxes introduced very recently.
Yeah, but that's really quite funny. Let me stop you there for 2 seconds. First of all, when I had a guy the other day, that valuer, right? We met that guy who valued his property, and he actually said we're at a stage which is exciting, which is the cost of rebuild is now more expensive than the purchase price. We can actually buy the properties now in Greece for less money than what it would cost to build the properties.
Precisely,
That's super exciting.
What they call.
And I love the fact that you guys put on a property tax, which is great, because just for the benefit of everybody, Greece never had a property tax, right? And you know how we all pay different types of taxes in different countries. I mean, the US you pay city tax and school tax. In Australia, you pay a land tax, and every country's got a tax, right? Okay, now hang on. You got to love this, right? Because they've just introduced a property tax in Greece, and when you guys hear how much it is, and what I love about the fact is, Christos, as soon as you introduced it, everybody said we're going to dump our properties, sell our properties, because they've never actually had a property tax before in Greece.
There was no property tax whatsoever, and now there has been a property tax introduced. Are you guys ready? Is 6 cents for every 1,000 euros.
Okay, 6 cents for every 1,000. So if I've got a 100,000 euro property, what's my property tax per year?
Yeah, it's going to be 600.
$600 a year.
Yeah.
$50 a month. You guys have got a property tax of $50 a month.
Well,
right?
people will use differently.
It's just really quite funny because it's actually peanuts. You realise that, right? So it's absolutely peanuts. And of course, everybody's going, "Oh my God, we've got property tax of 4." I mean, I had a guy the other day. He goes, "I've got property tax of 400 a year. I'm going to sell my property and lose 500,000 euros or whatever, right, to avoid paying the 400 a year." I mean, it's great, but you guys are so upset you've never had it before. Everybody's reacting. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, I think the greatest opportunity I've seen in Greece, everybody, is because what Greek people have never seen before. You started auctions a couple of days ago.
Yeah, e-auctions on the 27th of June.
Yeah,
just
and you've never had
ago.
auctions. So all of a sudden, guys, this is exciting, right? The government is dumping all this property with auctions, but the Greeks won't buy it because they don't trust auctions. They've never seen them before, right? So, mate, the opportunity here, I just reckon, is just drooling.
Yeah.
I mean, you got people go, "I've now got a property tax on my property of 600 a year, which I never have to have, so I better dump my property." You've got so many properties for sale, Did you say to me that 52.8%, or was it 58.2% of all the property mortgages are in debt or not being paid?
Okay, we've got 52.8% non-performing loans altogether.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, of all the money that's owed to people, mortgages, all sorts of short-term debt, retail debt, 52.8% isn't being paid. And I think what the most exciting thing was to come over here and create a system, drag all the solicitors in a room, right, and create a system where you can actually just pick up and assume all those unpaid debts from people who no longer want to pay them.
Yeah.
Oh, man, is that exciting or what?
It's really exciting. And what happens also is that people with portfolios end up paying lots in property taxes. But as I said, they were used differently. Anyway, the habits have changed completely. And people want to get rid of the properties.
Yeah, now here's 85% of Greek people traditionally own a home.
Precisely, yes.
Yeah, now that's so interesting, guys, because people in Germany is like 25%, or especially in like Holland, like some countries have a low rate. Australia's about 68%, and here you got an 85% home ownership rate. So when this whole thing collapsed, compared to where property prices were, what percentage do you feel that the property prices have dropped from where they were to where they are now? Okay,
we've got three tiers. We've got the grade A properties where they experience a drop by 30% in the grade A areas. Then you've got the grade B areas where the properties are now half price, 50%. And obviously you've got other areas where the prices have dropped by 60 or 70%.
Yeah. It's funny how you say, we've got like three tiers. I'm sitting here thinking, no, what, you've got three cheers. Gosh, okay, so now guys, can I just tell you from experience, don't jump in on the stuff that's dropped 70%, because what you're going to find is the garbage property. We had a look at some of that today, didn't we? I mean, we even went to vandalise some buildings and we couldn't, because they were already vandalised. I mean, we couldn't find a non-graffitied building. I couldn't even put my initials out there. So they're the properties we don't buy because they have dropped 70%. Yeah, but it's garbage stuff, and I learned this years ago. I learned a big lesson there in Dallas 25 years ago, 27 years ago. So, but then we see the yay grade, the Rolls Royce stuff, right? The fruit at the top of the tree. Not that it's dropped 30%, but the way that we can buy it is so exciting, we just pick up the loans.
Absolutely. This is where the opportunity is. We all know by now that the opportunity is on the terms you buy a property. The price is one thing, is the same for everybody, let's say. But the terms you can acquire a property or take control over the property is what really makes the opportunity here.
Yeah, because it's funny. Some people go, you buy on price, right? Now, I've had a look at what we could buy for €5 or €7. And I mean, it's cheap, but you wouldn't want to live there without a gun. Or, we bought another property for like €80,000, and I think we're going to end up paying like €250 per month for like 15 years or something, and rent it for €500 a month. So it's like you look at properties like that, which are just better quality. So it's how you buy it and the way under which you pay for it, rather than the price. What do you think is the hardest thing for people who are outsiders to get their head around buying in Greece?
Okay.
Or getting involved in Greece?
First of all, it's the impression, the picture the people abroad have about Greece. They think that it's a dead place. They think that the whole city is run down. They think that there is nothing moving.
Yeah.
Which is, okay, as I said, it's completely different me saying anything. Yeah. You've been here for long enough to share what the city is like, what the locations, the areas can be like, and what the opportunity altogether can be like. Because the banks are not lending. So we've got the following facts. If you had a great credit score, maybe somebody in the family might have a couple of missed payments. You're out. Even if you had great credit score, but now you've got different family circumstances and you've got 2 kids or your wife has lost your job, you are out. So people go and see properties, and what all the sellers have told us is that people are coming to see properties, but they are actually dreaming the properties. More of dreaming the properties rather than being there to buy the properties.
Yeah, dreaming of the opportunity rather than knowing how to take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
I tell you, a couple of things I've learned since I've been here, which I think is so exciting, right? Like, we all hear about how, German, the banks, right? Germany's been saving Greece's ass, pouring all this money into Greece. Greece owes all this money. And then the funny thing about it is all the massive infrastructure that's been done, but it's all German.
It's all
right?
German.
So now they've got a tram system, but it has to be Siemens German trams, right?
Indeed.
And then you have an airport. You need an airport, but it has to be run and owned and built by the Germans. It's like the Germans go, all right, we're lending you billions of dollars as long as all the work for all the infrastructure is German. Yeah. Right? I reckon that's really quite funny,
and the maintenance thereafter. So contract.
So I just think it's funny how they go, we've spent all this money to Germany. All the Germans go, we've spent all this money to Greece. The Greeks aren't paying it back. But it all went to German companies that were contracted by Germany to do all the work because, so everything in the whole place is kind of German, right? Yeah, they've had 2 shots at every 60 years they come down here and try to take over the place, right? So it's funny to see how that sort of works. And also just to see how the perception of what reality is compared to what reality is. You know, what people think is going to happen. You know, what do you got? Capital controls here for now 2 years, right?
Yeah, capital controls in place since July 15.
Okay, so let me ask you, when they did that, by the way, I'm going to guess that was an overnight decision. There's no warning about that. They just one night did it.
You never get a warning.
Yeah, never get a warning. Yeah, never.
Cyprus.
Right, okay.
Nothing.
So here's the deal. And guys, just so you know, when Cyprus had capital controls, that was for 4 years, right?
That was for 4 years.
Okay, so we've got capital controls. Now, what does that actually mean to the man in the street? Just so people listening to the podcast know what that means. What does it mean?
Okay, people can withdraw up to 420 euros a week. That's per, card you've got. If you've got different accounts, you can do 420 from each account. Or you can withdraw 840 every 2 weeks.
So hang on, let's say you wanted to go and take your family to America for a month and you need about 5,000 euros to do that. You can't take that money out?
You can, because credit cards and e-transfers are fine. There is no limit, so you can do that all day long.
Right. But it's just if you just wanted to sort of... What if you want to go and buy a car for 15,000 euros? Can you do that?
Yeah, you can.
Right.
You can.
But you just can't get the cash out.
Precisely. Let's bring things back to the right dimension. What capital controls practically mean. So you've got 420 to withdraw, and if the month has got 4.5 weeks, we end up with an amount of 1,800 or something. So how many people in Greece now earn 1,800?
Well, it all comes down to another thing. I mean, the average guy in Greece, and I know it's hard to say the average guy is good, what do Greek people earn? I mean, let's say I've got someone who's a clerk in a bank or something, right?
Okay.
What is the average kind of...
Net take-home income is 1,200 euros.
How often?
Every month, let's say.
You're telling me that people here in Greece are working and walking out of here with 1,200 euros a month after tax?
Yeah. This is what the average salary is like at the moment.
We're talking less than 300 a week. Wow, okay. Wow, that's really quite fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
People can get on with it because 85% own their own house.
Right.
And then you get help from the family. And, they combine their circumstances really to adjust to what's going on.
Well, let's talk a little about your background. You used to do property, or you still do property. What type of property traditionally have you transacted in Greece yourself? Okay.
I'm into property 19 years now, since 1999.
Wow. Okay.
And the typical transactions that I've done range from build to sell, build to rent, title split, lease options over the years, buy, refurb, refinance, buy, refurb, sell, pretty much all sorts of transactions.
Right. Okay. So when you're not doing
flats and houses, flats and houses. Back to your original question.
Okay, flats and houses. Now, one of the things I noticed, you've got a lot of commercial stock here for sale.
Yeah.
Now, obviously that's hard to shift, and I'm going to say that's a little bit because of the downturn in the market, right? You said something that was very interesting, and everybody has a perception that Greece is down on its knees.
Yeah.
The one thing I've noticed in the time I've been here, going through all the shopping centres, the restaurants, everything else, it's like nothing's in need of repair. Like it's like there's enough money in the economy that everything looks the way it should look. It doesn't look like it's a beaten down place. It doesn't look like someone's got a big flip-flop and beaten the place around the ears kind of thing, right? It actually looks like no one would ever know from just being a part of the Greek economy that the Greek economy actually has any problems at all.
As you said, it's the perception. I've got the luxury, let's say, to be in and out all the time. So if you see things from a different perspective, you get to see the same trailer across BBC, ABC, all sorts of channels, which is back in 2015 when the capital controls were originally imposed, and they are stuck there. There is nothing looking like what the media are giving out. But yeah, you have to be here to see what it's like. And you know what? If it is like this today, it can get only better, because if the economy is at the rock bottom and you see what you see, that there is enough money, the country is running, people are going to work in the morning, they're taking the kids to school, and things are moving, it can get only better. Being another reason that the opportunity is right here, right now.
Well, look, there's a couple of things. First of all, I know that when the capital controls disappear, everything will go through the roof.
Yeah.
Now, you've already had capital controls for about 2 years. Look, maybe 2 or 3 years. I mean, you're not going to have capital controls for the next 20 years, right? So, therefore, the opportunities you get in here, I mean, you and I have been buying a whole bucket load of properties. I feel like it's like filling up the sample bag, the Christmas bag, you know, because capital controls one day have to disappear. And the fact is, really, we're just picking up all the loans. As you said, the 52% of loans that people don't want to make payments on anymore, we've just been picking those up because other people don't want them. What have you found as you've tried to get other people involved in property in Greece? From where where do you think people struggle?
Okay. Is there mindset roadblocks? Number one.
Yeah.
Because everybody says that property is a bad thing. Number one. Number two, as soon as the capital controls are lifted, then people will feel differently, especially people from abroad.
Yep.
And number three, the major component is that as soon as the banks start lending again, the prices will skyrocket.
They will, won't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Guys, I tell you what, if you want to speak about Greece and get more information on Greece, just go to rickotten.co.uk/go. That's rickotten.co.uk/go. And listen, plug in for 15 minutes. And if you want to ask some questions about Greece, what we're doing in Greece, I'd love to have a bit of a chat, get you guys up to speed. Christos and myself here, we're talking about buying properties, which of course no money, because we've sat in so many coffee shops.
Yeah.
And I just think I've just been excited by the amount of people that sort of queued up. And the funny thing is, when we actually thought, we didn't want to buy any more properties, because, right, we didn't want to buy any more properties. It was like 44-degree heat.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, look, I've had enough. And that lady was like, well, she came in, she's like, when are you going to buy the property? And you looked at me and I looked at you like, do we really have to? We've got our boots full right now.
That was a nice one. And
the old story, the less you want it, the more the other person wants to do it. One other thing too that's going on here, which I'm going to get involved in.
Can I add something to this?
Yeah.
Guys, it was a hilarious moment where Rick goes like, Christos, can you look a little bit more interested about the property?
Yeah, well, that was it. We both had that look of like, look, not another one. Look, gee, it's got to stop. Stop the flood. It's like the word got out. There must have been a memo that said there's only Rick and Christos, there's only two guys left buying property in Greece. And this memo must have got out. The post-it note must have been stuck on a toilet wall somewhere, right? And everybody's sort of coming to us, we're like, no more. It's like, the other thing you've got here, which is great, is the €250,000 that you can invest in Greece, and that gives you entry into the EU.
The investment
so you just
visa,
buy one property for €250,000, which, by the way, was about 600,000 sort of euro property 3 years ago. You now go for 250,000, and you've now got access to the EU and access to all the other countries that are collapsing.
Is the least expensive investment visa across the EU at the minute.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, Spain had one a little while ago. That was €500,000. And you've sort of jumped in and said, look, let's make it 250. It's kind of like everybody's sort of racing each other to the bottom. Mate, thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.
Chatting to us.
Pleasure. Thank you for coming over.
I tell you what, I feel like I'm a kid that's been locked in the chocolate shop by his mummy late at night. Mum's gone home and forgotten about me, and I've now got to survive, through a chocolate diet for the next 6 hours. It's just great. Thanks everybody for coming on the podcast. I tell you what, I'm with Christos. We'll speak to you all next week.
If you would like to download the audio or transcript for this episode, go to www.webuyhousesradio.com. And if you have any questions, please email support@webuyhouses.com.au. Thank you for tuning in. You are on the right path to real estate success. This show does not provide legal, financial, accounting, investment, or any other professional advice. and the information shared on this podcast is that of the hosts. Nevertheless, Rick and his students are abundantly successful and would not transact real estate in any other way.